In this video, we're going to review how to solve the systems of equations using elimination more often than not here. Remember, the thing we want to, our goal is to get rid of x or y. So if we're looking at question 1 and we try to predict, we see the y's, that some of the y's will go away, but not all of them. Same thing goes to the x's. So I have to remember, use my parentheses and multiply by something. And it doesn't really matter which one you choose to get rid of. So I'm going to show you two ways to do this problem. So this is two ways to do number 1. Okay, one way is to take the first equation and notice that it has the minus 9y in it. So if I want to get rid of the y's with the second equation, then all I would have to do is times the second equation by 3, because that would give me 9y's there, which would allow me to cancel with my first equation. But remember, you have to multiply everything, so I need to multiply the 5x by 3 to get 15x plus 9y equals, and don't forget, you have to multiply 3 on the other side too. So 3 times negative 267 is negative 801. Now I'm going to rewrite the first equation down below, and I'm going to use my elimination strategy. So remember, I keep my equal signs lined up. I add everything on the right, and I add everything on the left. The left side is easy because the 9y's and the negative 9y's will make a 0. The 15x and the x will make 16x's. On the right, negative 801 plus 273. If I want to punch that into my calculator, I'd punch something like this. And I'm going to see that I get negative 528. So now I have one more step in order to solve for x. My final step here is to divide both sides by 16, and I get x equals negative 30. So I've solved for x, but don't forget, our goal is to find x and y. So once I find x, I go back to one of my original equations. Never use the one you changed, so don't go and use this one here. We don't want to use that one. We want to use one of the first two that were in the problem. So I'm going to plug it into the first one that says x minus 9y equals 273. I'm going to put 33 in for x, and I'm going to solve for y. Negative 33, and I'm going to add 33 to both sides. Negative 9y equals 306. Divide both sides by 9. Negative 9. And I get my solution of y equals negative 34. So I have my answer for y and my answer for x. And that's my solution to the system. So we're going to just briefly talk about a second way you could have solved the first one. We're not going to go through the whole process because we'll get the same answer. But some of you might have seen something different than I saw. So the second way to solve number 1 is to notice that the x minus 9y, 273, if we times this one by negative 5, then I can eliminate the x's right away, because the other equation, remember this was the second equation, then I would have negative 5x's right here. So if I do this math here, I'm going to get negative 5x, and the x's will go away. But I have to do it everywhere. So negative 5 times negative 9, positive 45. And negative 5 times 273. Negative 5 times 273, that's 1,365. And of course, that's negative. So now I would be able to eliminate, using these two equations, I would eliminate the x's, and this would help me get my answer as well. So I'd add these up and get an answer, and I could solve. But you don't have to do that problem again. I just wanted to show you there you can do it any way that you see how to do it. So I'm going to get you started on number 2. I'll definitely post the answers to these problems in the second video, but I'll get you started on number 2 and then give you some hints for some of the other problems. So let's take a look at number 2. Number 2 involves, it's kind of an interesting one. First of all, I noticed the equal signs aren't lined up, so I'm going to rewrite them so I can see the equal signs on top of each other. So the equals and then negative 432 and 16y. So I noticed something peculiar here. It looks like, gosh, this is going to be quick because y is already alone. I can actually solve this equation quite quickly, and I can figure out what y is. And I figure out y by dividing both sides by 16, and I get y equal to negative 27. So I solved for y using one equation, and that's okay because this equation was written without x. So it was already partially done for me. I still need to find x though because I was asked to solve the system of equations. So that means that I need to solve for all the variables. So I need x and I need y. So the only way to get x is to go back to the other equation that I haven't used yet and plug in my y. So in for this equation, I'm going to put 27 in for y. So it's going to be x minus 4, negative 27 in for y equals 119. Doing the math, I get negative 4 times negative 27 gives me 108. So it's going to be x plus 108 equals 109. Subtract 108. And I get an answer of 1. I'm sorry, I get an answer of 11. Silly me. So this is your answer for x, and this is your answer for y. So this one turned out to be a lot easier than I thought when I first looked at these big numbers. So don't be afraid to notice things like this, that x is already eliminated in this equation, and to use it to find y. Okay? The next equation, we'll give you a quick reminder for the next 2 and then let you try and solve them on your own. So let's take a look at number 3 and 4. So number 3, notice a couple of things. Notice that the y's are both 5. So remember, you can do this thing called flipping. So you can take this equation and flip everything. It's the same as multiplying everything by negative 1. Because if I multiply this by negative 1, negative 4x, multiply this by negative 1, negative 5y, and multiply that by negative 1, negative 1. Everything flipped from positive to negative. Now I can use the 2 equations, 191, and I can simplify and solve. I can solve now for x by combining and adding the 2 equations together using elimination. So see if you can finish that problem there. One last hint for number 4, and then I'll let you try a bunch of these on your own. Watch the solutions video for more help on the following questions. But here's number 4, a hint. So when looking at this, you look at the x's, 3 and 8, they won't eliminate. You look at the y's, they won't eliminate. But what you see here is 1y, and 1 is a really nice number to work with because I can times this 1, there's a 1 there, by anything I want to get what I want. So if I want to eliminate the y's, remember if this is positive 19, I need this to be negative 19y. So what am I going to times by? Negative 19. So remember, your value of 1 in front of the y is going to be really helpful. Okay? This will allow you to eliminate things a little bit quicker. So that's your first step on number 4. See if you can finish that. Check your solutions on the solutions video and more hints for numbers 5 through 12 if you get stuck. And definitely ask your teacher or your neighbor if you need help with this.